back from this year's roster? Let's just go down the list, and we'll just have some fun with this. Marvin Bagley, is he back on this team next year? Do you think they trade him or something, or some other type of move in the offseason?
That's tough to say because he's got $12 million on his contract. He did produce this season, but I don't think there's going to be a team knocking on the door for Marvin Bagley. Not to say he's not a good player. I just think the contract's a little bit of an overpay in my personal opinion. And I think you would have to attach at least an asset or a first-round pick to even try to – or a second-round pick to even move it because hell of a player. He just can't stay healthy.
True. Yeah. So are we in agreement that he'll be back next year, all three of us? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm favorite
saying that.
Player. Okay, Buddy Boeheim. What about him, Mike? Do you think he'll be back next year?
Hey, man, I love Buddy. I really – he's a great guy. He's a good three-point shooter. I think if he is with the organization, he'll be with the Crews. There is, however, a third two-way slot. This is where my G League. I know all this random stuff about it. This is actually coming into play now. There's now 3 two-way player slots. So they could keep Buddy, keep Jared Rhoden, and still sign another guy. So I could see him sticking around, hypothetically, if you want to keep him in the organization, because you can now, and there's really no risk to it.
Okay. What about you, Anthony? You think Buddy Boeheim is a Piston or a Crews next year?
I don't know. They'll probably sign another Boeheim with that third two-way spot. This kind of seems like what Troy would do. This is not a Troy Weaver slander podcast, I promise you. It's just after a 17-win season, I'm kind of, I don't know, maybe salty a little bit. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like I watch him in the G League, and he just goes off, it seems like, for 26 points. And then I watch him when he gets called up, and it's kind of like, I don't know if it's maybe he's nervous or maybe it's not enough reps. I think he would be, like, to Mike's point, I think he would be great in the G League, but I think that's all he'll ever be. It's just a really good G League player.
I'm going to go ahead and say they bring him back. I don't know why. It wouldn't hurt them to bring him back. He's still a sniper like that. That's an elite skill set that can translate. But we'll even see if he gets the opportunity. I'm expecting way more than 17 wins next year. Bojan, do we think he's going to be back? I know he signed the extension, but you never know. I mean, there were rumors about Troy trying to trade him during the season, but do you think he'll be back next year?
I think it just depends on the trade market. If Troy gets the right price, but gut instinct, no, until we can find someone who can shoot better than him.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say they keep him. I don't see them trading him this offseason. I think he's going to be a part of this team for like the next 2 years at least, or until, he retires. Alec Burke, though, this is an interesting one because, you got the development of Jaden Ivey. Killian Hayes is probably still going to be here. Cade Cunningham's coming back. You don't know what they're going to do with the top 5 pick. We got another player on this list that might be coming back to the team. But Alec Burke, my thoughts are he comes back to the Pistons this year, but I'm also like, he's probably the one player that I'm like 50-50 on that he might not be here. But what about you, Anthony? You think Alec Burks is going to be here next year?
I know he's going to be back. Okay. They already talked about giving him an extension similar to Bojan's.
Okay.
So
sweet.
Kind of in the ballpark, which I kind of think would be $20 million is a lot for Alec Burks. But I think they kind of like his veteran leadership. I know me and you have talked all year about foundation. I think he's a foundation piece. I think you kind of saw Jaden Ivey pick up some of his foul baiting towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
I just think he's a good veteran to keep on this team, but I think he will be back next season.
Okay. So, I think we can all say that we think he's going to be back. So let's go to Hamidou Diallo, though. We'll be quick about this. Hamidou Diallo, is he coming back next year? I think this is the big one for a lot of people. I don't think he's coming back. I think that energy role player might be given to Eugene Amarui. He just signed for like a partially guaranteed deal going into next year, like for almost like a $1.5 million or something. But I'm not sure about the numbers, but he did just sign for the rest of the season. And I think it's partially guaranteed going into next year. But what about Hamidou Diallo for you guys?
I think Hami, if you look at his minutes, he could find more somewhere else. I feel like he might just want a new opportunity, and he can get that on a contender. I feel like a contender would want to sign a guy like Hami. And with him, he's been a part of a lot of rebuilds. Why not go and get the bag, maybe get a ring somewhere else? I love Hami, though. Wish him the best.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I know it's Troy's guy. obviously. You know, he didn't draft him in OKC, and it doesn't do, you know, Hami any favors that he basically gets a guy, you know, on the waiver wire that's from OKC too. I like Hami because he doesn't celebrate with OKC after games, but I think Hami's energy to me. I had to throw that little jab in there. I'm still not over that shit. I think they bring Hami back. I think, to me, his energy is very infectious. Like, I saw Bojan run with Hami. Yeah. I never saw Bojan run in Utah. I never saw Bojan run in Washington. Like, Hami's energy is really infectious, and I think he has a role on this team, but I think it'll be on the bench, in my personal opinion. I think if you want to win, he's a bench piece that you just, you know, maybe it's a sixth, maybe seventh man off the bench.
Okay, I like that take, man. I mean, I'm all for Hami staying in Detroit. I don't know, though, man. It's interesting, though, because, I mean, he still can't shoot. Eugene Amarui still gives you that a little bit, but they both give you enough energy. RJ Hampton, though, he's been popping off lately. Just had a career high recently, I think, with 27. Went off in the third quarter. That was awesome to see. Oh, this is a question. This is a tough one because this team is – I feel like there's already so loaded in the – I mean, now it's loaded with a ton of talent in the backcourt outside of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. But there's a lot of depth. I just don't know where RJ Hampton fits with this team with Alec Burke coming back. And I'm assuming Killian Hayes is going to come back. So I don't see RJ. I would like to see RJ Hampton back. But then again, I'm willing to let this experiment go. What about you guys, Mike? Do you think RJ Hampton's going to come back?
Give him the third two-way slot. I'm for that. I feel like that would be a very Troy Weaver thing to do. We've seen him do projects in the past, and I feel like RJ still has something that can develop. So give him the third two-way, and again, 60 games, and you can send him back whenever you want. I'm fine with that.
Cool. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I think RJ's a little bit to me, I think you could play him at either guard spot. Like, obviously, he's kind of like that combo guard, and I kind of like Mike's idea of giving him that third two-way spot because I think if you throw him in the G League, he's going to cook. I mean, he did really well with Lakeland. I think he would do, you know, phenomenal with the Crews. And, you know, if you're short a man, you can call him up. I think that'd be a really good move. But I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to kind of evaluate someone in such a short amount of time. I think there's something there. It's just he just needs more reps, kind of like James Wiseman.
Ooh, we'll see, man. This next name, though, is polarizing in Detroit. Killian Hayes. Is he coming back for – I mean, we just saw, 450 assists and 100 steals. Chauncey Billups, Brandon Jennings, the only two other – well, and Grant Hill. He did it as well. But he's in good company. Still needs to find his offensive game. Still needs to do something consistently on that side. But Killian Hayes, is he going to be a Detroit Piston next year? Or do you see them trying to move from him this offseason? Mike, I'll turn it over to you first.
Yes, because I don't think Troy wants to give up on the Killian project yet. I feel like
that's a good point.
What you're going to lose him for is less than what you're going to keep him for in terms of open market value. And I feel like with Detroit, if he wants to stay the course, he understands his role here and he knows what to expect. So I think Killian will stay. And me personally, since he's been here, I've been kind of a Killian Hayes stan, so I am a little biased. But
Okay, that's cool. What about you, Anthony?
I think this is his last chance.
Yeah.
I think this year he's probably developed the most out of his 3 seasons as a pro. But I think the time is ticking. I think they'll give him, one more shot. Next year will probably be a backup point guard role. That's why we were talking about RJ Hampton. I mean, there's a conversation. RJ Hampton or Killian Hayes. I know Killian Hayes is a better defender. RJ's like average, but Killian, I think, just today when I was watching against the Bulls, it's just the mistakes he was making. I think if the Pistons want to win, you can't have that on the floor. You can't have someone try to do the same thing 5 times in a row. He tried to get by Alex Caruso, and Alex Caruso stripped him every damn time. I think there's potential there. It's just if you want to win, you really have to have a conversation of, if he is going to be on the team, he's probably going to be on the bench a lot because he does make a lot of mistakes still.
You can win with growing pains, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It just depends on how much you want it to affect you. What do you think, Lance?
I do think Killian Hayes is back. I really do. He's a 6'5" guard that has shown, like Anthony said, like this has been the year that he has developed the most. I mean, he had that good string of games a couple months ago where, dude, it looked like he was kind of living up to being a lottery pick a little bit. You know, he looks solid, but it's just, I do think a lot of Killian's issues are more mental than anything. Like, I do think he's a solid basketball player. Like, you can't get to the NBA by luck. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You have to be good at basketball to get to the NBA. It's just, I think he's one of these dudes that gets in his own head. He misses a shot, he thinks about it. He can't forget quickly. Like, that's an issue for him. But I don't see why it hurts that bring him back. I know a lot of Pistons fans some of them hate to hear that because they're done with Killian. Believe me, I am right there with you guys. I did have a tweet say that he was pulling me back in. I was being sarcastic. I've already tweeted out I would love to have Javion Carter as the backup point guard from Milwaukee. He's a good defender, can shoot the three, just a little undersized at 6'1" compared to Killian. But, you know, I mean, if they do bring Killian back, which I think they will, I want to see them try to play him primarily at the 2 guard where they can take less playmaking pressure off of him and just, you know, have him go into a role that's simpler for him. Just have him play defense and try to knock down shots, man. Just simplify it for him. That's what I want to see. But yeah,
I really like that point. I love that point that you just made, Lance. Make it easier for him, and that I just haven't heard that before, and I don't know. If we're gonna keep Killian, that's the perfect role.
Appreciate that. Corey Joseph, you think we're bringing him back next year? He kind of popped off a little bit too. It was because of him we got that win the other night, hitting some threes from long range. But the Texas Longhorn, they bringing him back. Mike, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, so the legend that was March Kojo, I got the stats right here. 12.5 points, 4 assists on 49.6% from the field and 47.6% from 3. This is a man playing for a contract right here. This is a man who, for many Pistons fans, has been a punchline for the past couple years. This is a man who also provides a lot of veteran leadership and is an older guy on the roster. He's seen some shit, and we need guys who have seen some shit. I want Kojo back, however, as an alternative, if we do not decide to keep him, want to get a little older maybe just for mentorship. DJ Augustine, who is coming off of 45 from the floor and 43% from three-pointer, Piston legend. I liked DJ when he was here. I'm fine with doing that too.
Oh, dude, I love DJ Augustine. What about you, though, Anthony? You think Corey Joseph's back next year?
If Corey Joseph is back on this team next year, I'm going to have to do a wellness check on everything King. Just because if you're watching, man, I hope he's not back. I don't think he's back on this roster next year. I think the Pistons will go get a veteran. I love the DJ Augustine name drop. I remember when I believe it was Brandon Jennings got hurt. He was just going for 40 bombs because no one could guard him.
Yeah.
I really like Javion Carter, Lance. He's so underpaid, and he was almost a Piston at one point because we almost traded Luke Kennard to the Suns. And he was in that kind of, I think it was him and a French guard. We almost traded Luke Kennard to the Suns, but it never happened. But I think I'd be good on Kojo. I think he's a good vet. It's just I can't stand the dribbling, man. Like if I got to watch him one more season, dribble out a clock and pass it to Cade in the corner with 2 seconds to go, wow, I'm going to snap. I can't watch that anymore.
I ultimately think he leaves. Like, I think he's at that point in his career where he's like, man, did he win a ring with any team? Like, was he on San Antonio or like Toronto when they won? Or
San Antonio, 2014, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just think he leaves. I mean, I just don't think he's going to be getting very many minutes, and I think that's what he wants. You know, I think he still wants to play, and I think. But the depth at guard is just going to be too much for him to get a role on next year's team. So I think we're going to say goodbye to Kojo next year. Which thanks for the memories, Kojo. I appreciate it.
Exactly.
Someone said he's going to get a front office job with Casey.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Who just said that? Ryan, bro. Come on.
Shout out to Ryan, man.
Here's my favorite player, Isaiah Livers. The injury concerns are too much. He has not looked like – I feel like because the team is so bad, you're not going to see the best version of Isaiah Livers. He's going to be playing outside of his role, you know, and it's just too much. I mean, he's made a couple good, you know, development, you know, in his game, like that 2-dribble pull-up. That's nice. but he's kind of struggled shooting the outside shot. Defense is kind of lacking. But again, I think if the team is overall better defensively, he's going to be a better defender. But I do think the clock is ticking for Isaiah Livers. I think he has a huge opportunity coming for him next year if he's on the team, which I think they will bring him back because Troy Weaver seems to love this guy. He just needs to stay healthy, needs to find a shot again. But ultimately, I think the Pistons will bring him back. But what about you, Mike? You think Isaiah Livers is coming back?
Easy bring back, especially in a position they need. There's nothing more to be said, really. All
right. What about you, Anthony?
I think he'll be back. It's just I know you kind of hit on it. The injury concerns. It just seems like it's like freak injuries. I know like Jaden Ivey stepped on his foot and like he had to go to the locker room. It's just like if the guy could stay healthy, I think he's one of our better shooters because his shooting form is beautiful to watch. And even though he does get cooked on defense, he's literally guarding the hardest player or the best player on every team. And I think he's just a really good, positive team locker room guy too. I mean, like every interview I see, he's positive, he's smiling, he's having a good time. I still remember what at his presser with Cade and, Koprivica, like, helping, like when they're like, how do you say your last name? Like, he just seems like a really good guy to have on your team. He's just a really positive human being to me. Like, honestly, I love Isaiah Livers.
Yep.
Yeah, I do apologize for everybody listening. I forgot how many guys were on the Pistons this year because it's like 30 names. I apologize. Veteran favorite, Ronnie Magruder. Do you think he's coming back? I personally think he's coming back. He doesn't need to play. He's a serviceable guy when he is on the floor. I mean, I just looked his numbers up the other day. He had 112 starts in Miami, which is wild to me. Crazy. But Ronnie Magruder, I do think he's going to come back. It seems like everybody loves him on the team. Seems like he's a pro's pro. Again, he can be that 15th man, and he's not going to cry about it. But what about you guys? Mike, Ronnie Magruder coming back to Detroit, or do you think he's for another team?
He's at a cheap price, but I think, again, it comes down to what does Rodney want for Rodney. And I don't think these guys are giving up on the rebuild, but they're getting up there in age, and they got to pick what their role is. I think Rodney's going to leave and just find a different role somewhere probably warmer. And that's about it, really.
Okay. What about you, Anthony?
I kind of want him to be here like Udonis Haslem on this team. Just, that vet that's still on the team. Screw you, Klay Thompson. He's still playing. But had to get that out there. I don't know if you guys remember during COVID, he's like, yeah, this guy will be out the league in a couple of years. Still playing, and he's shooting a higher percentage from three than Klay is this year. So, hey. I know it's unless it sounds fun.
Anthony. Come on, man. Hey.
It's ring culture. Honestly.
He's got 4.
I love Rodney, though, man. I do remember bumping into him, like, walking down on Old Woodward, dude. Like, guy is just, like, the most humble guy.
Wait, this was separate occasions. I bumped into the exact same street.
Yeah.
This guy just lives there, I guess. I don't know.
Honestly, man, you just see like this big ass guy. I was like, that's Ronnie Magruder. He's like got his hood on, like trying to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I don't even feel like Ronnie Magruder needs to hide. I mean, he's loved in Detroit, though. He is loved in Detroit. This guy, new fan favorite, love his number 97, Eugene Amarui. Like, I mean, we feel like we talk about one. You got to stop. I feel like we talk about one of these guys every year. Tyler Cook, Braxton Key, now Eugene Amarui. I think he's back. I know I said earlier he signed like a 2-year partially guaranteed deal with Detroit. I think it's more of just an invitation, come try out. But I think Eugene Amarui will be back with the Detroit Pistons. That does not mean he's going to play significant minutes. I do not think he's going to have a significant role. We're talking like 10th or 11th man, emergency in case one of the bigs go out. But Mike, Eugene Amarui, you think he returns to Detroit?
No, because the last guy we gave this type of contract to, we cut like a week after the season. That's Carson Edwards, and he had a good sample size. So I don't think he's coming back. I think he'll find his way somewhere.
What about you, Anthony? I mean, you already did this, so
yeah.
Why are we asking?
Yeah, honestly, like I like Eugene. I like his energy, but like I don't know, man. I'm still kind of salty over the OKC thing. Like I don't care if you do a jersey swap, but motherfucker, like is out there with like doing a pose with all like Jalen Williams and like SGA. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Dude, he did kind of look uncomfortable though too in that photo. I wonder if he lost a bet with the team.
I guarantee you, like, if you're on NBA memes, you're a joke. Like, NBA memes posted that, like, the Pistons are so bad, their players are jumping ship.
Oh, I hate that. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, there's 2 outs. I'm the only one in on Eugene. Again, I still think he's back, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I'm not going to ask about Isaiah Stewart or James Wiseman. I think we all know those guys are going to be back. And Jared Rhoden, he'll probably be on a 2-way deal. Love his hustle and his energy. But again, I don't know. He's 23 years old, and it just seems like, again, there's a lot of depth at guard coming into next year.
There's one player we didn't mention.
Who's that?
Gabriel Procida. Does he make the roster?
Oh,
forgot about him. Which, my take on him, though. I feel like when the Pistons – I've said this before. Mike, you can listen to me on this. I say that when the Pistons are in contention, they're going to be like, man, we're missing one piece. And then Gabriel Procida finally signs his deal, comes over, and he jumps off the plane with his national team flag, wearing like a cape here to save the day and being like the Tony Kukoc to the 90s Bulls. That's what I think happens with Gabriel Procida. But I don't think it happens next year. Give it 2 more years and he'll be here.
That's exactly what's going to happen. He's just going to come. Does. Yes. I picture it like he's going to descend from the rafters of LCA wearing his nation's flag in uniform, and that's how he checks in. I'm down for it.
I would if they allowed like NBA players to do that, that would be amazing. It would be so cool. But we'll never see anything like that.